Hi, I'm Marcus.
And I'm Cassandra Jordan.
And this is Just Respected,
a podcast guided by truth.
And our mission is to reach anyone that is feeling lost and confused, needing clarity and understanding. So we pray this podcast blesses you, and if you like it, please subscribe below. Hey family, and we're back.
Hello.
Welcome back to the Just Respected podcast. Hey sweetheart.
Hey babe.
How are you doing today?
I'm alright, how are you?
Doing good. Guys, we are wrapping up this season real fast before we even get started. If you have not done so, please click in the like and the subscribe button. Hit that notification button so you can be up to date with all of the podcasts and all the ventures that's coming up. We're praying that you're all having a blessed holiday season as we get ready to wrap up this year. God has really been working on me in this season, and I can't wait to share with you guys about our topic for tonight. We're getting into discipline, and I just feel like being that it's coming down to the end of the season, all I keep hearing the Holy Spirit keeps saying to me is finish the way you want to
start.
You want to start your start off next year, finish strong. So that's really what He's been saying, and we're in a season where we're asking God for so much and so much new, so much responsibilities, new changes. So it's just like this is a time that we got to set that in place before we see it. We got to start doing it.
Yeah, no, you're very right. Kind of brings you back to like your childhood.
Hey, and I think
you never really understood the points of
that's a good place to start. Let's start right there with your childhood.
I mean, so in my childhood, my family is very big on discipline.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess what kind of pushed me away from discipline was more of like that authoritative.
Real fast, let's give a background.
What? Background of what?
Of your parenting. Because your parents are Caribbean, so it's the Caribbean backside of it. I just want to give our audience some context of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was raised a little differently. Our discipline was a little different, and I think that's why. I mean, because there's many different forms of discipline, but I think from like my childhood, I kind of had to learn how to discipline myself in more healthy ways.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know, like, growing up, I feel like it was very, like, with my parents, was I'm the mom and dad, what I say goes, I'm always right, you're
That
always wrong.
authoritative figure.
And I just feel like, you know when sometimes you come home from a bad day, you just had a bad day, like, you just, you know.
Everybody had bad days.
Yes, but it's like, growing up, I was never allowed to have bad days. Mm-hmm. So it's like, especially now when I have bad days, I find that I have no discipline. Because when I have bad days, I'm like, oh, let me indulge in some self-pleasure.
Self-soothe myself, yeah.
Yes. So I was disciplined growing up. I had manners. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. I was always taught to be quiet. Don't, try to be unseen. Yeah. So I tried to be invisible for the most part growing up. But
what was your diet like growing up?
Healthy.
Super healthy.
Mm-hmm. My parents cooked almost every day throughout the week because I wouldn't say it was a culture thing. I think it was just more so my mom. She felt like you got more clean food at home because you know what was going in and all that stuff. So we would eat out like at restaurants for like birthdays or special occasions, but never fast food. Also, even if we're going on a road trip, we're bringing cooked food.
That's also for one that was weird for me.
That first trip.
But understanding too, you come from a big family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so, there's I have 6 other siblings.
Yeah.
No, 5 others. Oh my gosh. There's so many of us.
It's a lot of y'all. Yeah, it's a lot of y'all. Y'all got a starting 5.
Starting lineup and then some.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so my discipline was different, so I just kind of struggle with that now as an adult. But what about you?
Discipline for me was different. Where do I begin? I grew up in a God-fearing household.
Yes.
You know, that speaks to basically a point where just like we knew we had certain things we wasn't able to do. We wasn't gonna be out there being like our peers. We couldn't do certain things. It was like my mom used to say, "Your friends don't live here, but you live here," and she'll say our address. She'd be like,
or you remember that thing that they used to say of your friend jumps off a bridge and you jump off a bridge?
Yeah. And there's sometimes I want to be like it was fun, but no, it was like that. But it was structured. That's basically what I can say. It was the best structure that they could give. It was like it felt like every generation, because as it was crazy in my time of just a devotion and seeking God this week, and he's giving me, talking to me about discipline. He took me to Ecclesiastes 1, and it talks about everything is meaningless, and generations after generations, everything is the same. Nothing is new underneath the sun. So it basically told me, he talks about, also said a point about the king of Israel. He was like, he's the wealthiest man. He has all the wealth in the world, but he realized with all this wealth, it doesn't gain him anything.
Yeah.
You know, and then he says that he's also wiser than all the previous kings before him. So I started thinking, I was just like, okay, that's just like parenting. They're just like, at years, you know, you got your grandparents, you got your parents, and you have yourself, and then you'll soon have a little one of your own. But it's like, what is the consistent thing of each generation? We're supposed to get wiser from each generation. We're supposed to learn something from them to get us another step closer to where we want to be in life, you know? Because nothing is ever new. It's always a continuous thing. The next generation is not going to remember the past generation, so on and so forth. But it was basically what he spoke to me about discipline. It's just like if your mom says to you, hey, Sis Andrew, do not touch that stove because it's hot. But you then chose to go and touch it anyway. She was trying to do her job by preventing you because she already knew from her previous life lessons what would happen. You know, she already knew, but at the end of the day, she had to understand that you have your own life to walk as well, and you needed to learn that life lesson regardless of even if she told you or she didn't. So, but that's the new thing, and that's how we're gonna be the day that God blesses us with kids. We're gonna be wanting to prevent them from all the mistakes that we made. But at the end of the day, if they decide to make those mistakes, that's their own consequence. You know?
You're very right, and I think that's the tough thing with discipline, because we have so much freedom when it comes to our choices. You're free to make your, especially as an adult. Like no one's like, hey, make sure you get up and go to work, or hey, make sure you pay your bills, or make sure you are taking care of your health. So I think it's like a lot of things that you really have to take into account, because I feel like, well, for me, I was so used to having myself like on a disciplined schedule for so long, for so many years, that once I finally started my career, I was like, oh, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
So like now I have no discipline. If I don't want to go to the gym, I don't want to go to the gym.
And then on
but
top
that's
of that,
a problem.
and on top of that, we justify it.
We do.
Because we're adults, we can justify, because I'm tired, or I'm this, or I'm that.
It's a busy week at work, I just,
No one's going to make you do anything. Because God says He gave us free will. You know, we can decide what type of lifestyle we want to live each and every day. We all have the same amount of time in a day, and we already know the sun is going to rise the same time every single day. It's a continuation, but it's just like, what do you choose to live out, and how you choose to be throughout your day?
You're right. It's a new day, new choices. So what are you going to choose to do? Because I don't even remember where I was reading this, because I read so much.
And that's good. I love that about you, that you do read. It's crazy though, because it's in our relationship, that actually is one of the things that you motivate me in. The fact that I see you reading, it makes me want to be like, okay, let me step my game up and pick up this book.
I love reading. But what I will say, like I was reading somewhere where it's like, you know, watch your, or maybe it could have been a quote or whatever, but like, you know, be careful of your thoughts, because your thoughts will dictate your actions. And I think a lot of times for me, I'll know, like, because I work in the hospital, so it's going to be busy. There are going to be really hard days emotionally, but it comes to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just been so tiring and exhausting. I'm going to do what I want to do. I feel like I get up and I go to work every day. That's what I have to do. So let me do something that I want to do, which is laying on the couch reading or watching a movie. It's nothing productive, but I know that there's so much more that I could be doing in my spare time that would be beneficial, not just for me, but for other people too. And I think another part of discipline is not being so selfish. To not always think about like what pleasures you or what you're needing, but try and, you know, or what you're wanting more so.
Just making those sacrifices. Yeah. Telling yourself no.
Discipline is sacrifice.
Right. It's really, like you said, it's dying to yourself. It's like literally knowing like, okay, I'm trying to fight for a bigger purpose. And a lot of times we do get disciplined in certain areas in our lives, but it's in certain seasons. Like for instance, if we got a trip coming up, you know, say someone give you a trip to Cabo, you know, all inclusive, paid for. What's the first thing you're gonna start doing? Oh, I'm about to be in the gym tomorrow because I'm trying to get ready for my body for
Not
the
even, because to me, I'm just like.
No, I'm not saying for you.
No, but
I'm
I
saying in general.
Yeah.
Most people will that would be their change.
Yeah.
But even to say, because say if it's not that, it's another thing for you.
Yeah.
You know, we all have our desires that make us that make you want to just get up and go do it. And it's like it can never be one or the other.
Yeah.
It's like back to what I was saying before. Reading it's crazy because Travis Green says this thing. It's like a slogan, like you just can't read the Bible. You got to read the Bible, and that's one thing I do encourage you guys to do. Start getting into the Bible. Start journaling. Just start allowing God to just build a relationship with you. But anyway, to that point.
Because like there's a difference between reading and like really reading.
Right, really trying
sometimes
to
you just
digest
read things just to kind of get through the page, but sometimes you have to go back and kind of like meditate on what you're reading to really try to get to the depth of it. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Learning this discipline thing is tough.
It is. It's because it's not easy. It's like you said, you're making that choice, and really what you want to be, you want to be disciplined in all areas.
Yeah.
You know, if you have good health, you want to be good in your career. You want to be good in your relationships. It's like that's a good question. How do you feel like over the years? Let's say you're in your late 20s now, right? About to be in your 30s soon.
Yes.
I'm not calling out your age, but yeah.
No, I mean I know I'm still young, but I guess.
But no, but
yeah.
my
No,
question is, throughout your lifetime, even coming through college, that journey, even coming into marriage, think about times where you chosen to be disciplined or you chose to be focused in an area, but you may have lacked in other areas.
Yes.
What do you feel like that came from? Do you feel like that was you going into your own plans in a way?
I don't know. I would say I'm just I get really tunnel vision when I'm focusing on something. So like I know I was very disciplined back when I was like in nursing school. Like I had a schedule, I had everything all laid out. I would say I was a little type A, but it doesn't help. It makes you a little bit more.
Did you have a lot of expectations?
Out. Of course. I mean, because I grew up with the mindset, because it was kind of, you know, your childhood is so fundamental. B's weren't good enough. You know, we had to make A's, and I mean, of course, like my other siblings may not have, but for some reason, for me, it just,
that was your standard.
I had to.
You had to set the standard.
Yeah, I had to. I felt like I always had to be good at what I do, and I think that's another thing that I struggle with now, which is why I won't be disciplined in certain things. Like if I feel like I won't be good in it, I won't do it. Or I might shy away from it and then possibly try it out, but yeah, I don't know, like, still working on it. I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to focus on the bigger picture and not just what makes me feel comfortable in that moment, because a lot of times, like, you know, pleasure is very temporary. It's very fleeting. But discipline lasts forever. So I don't know. You're just trying to work on healthier habits. And
as you was talking about that, I was thinking about to those seasons back early off in our marriage when you were going through your nursing school, and you were very disciplined. You was very like, when it comes to school, I always see you to get very like tunnel vision, type A, like gonna be. It's crazy seeing you at work trying to write them essays and stuff like that. You just reel them off. I'm basically saying like my wife is the nerd of the class. Like you cannot copy my homework type person.
Not a nerd, but you surely could copy my
That's
homework.
her.
I had to work hard to do this. You better have been doing this.
And it's so crazy because I'm the total opposite. I would have been that guy in your class. Girl, you gonna give me I'm about to change that my paper. With just us, you know, and it's crazy that happened, and I was able to witness that in our relationship.
But back to when you were saying that, like when you were talking about with me being in nursing school, I was very tunnel vision. I focused more in school, and I feel like a lot of things stuck the back burner. I know I wasn't focused on our relationship. I wasn't really focused on much of anything else, but trying to finish school. And I think that's also what kind of scares me with getting motivated. I'm tunnel vision, and it's really hard for me to like knock myself over the head. I'm like, come on, get out of it. But that's kind of with everything though. Like I daydream.
Right.
It's my brain.
I'm the same way. I was the same way over the years. Just like if I focused on getting in shape, being the top notch in my health, I started realizing areas of me that I did not like.
Mm-hmm.
I started getting fit, so next thing you know, you start checking out yourself. Next thing you know, you got a cocky demeanor about yourself. That's one thing I learned over the years. And then in another season of me even being married and even not, because you remember when we got married, we didn't even want to do marriage counseling. Like that, for a while, we was so against it. But because we just felt like we knew everything that.
Oh, and it was funny because we knew absolutely nothing.
Nothing. We knew nothing. And it was it was like literally you knew nothing, and it humbled us because we had to.
But it was like when I heard premarital counseling, all I could think was, oh, you have another class to attend because I was already in college full time, so I was and working, so I was like, oh my gosh, it's just like another thing to do. But it was so beneficial. It was so.
It was. But you know what's so crazy? As I just hear you say that is like. For beginning of our relationship, we were so caught into our own agendas.
Yeah.
Like we were being disciplined in the areas that society was showing us to be disciplined in. Focus on your career. Focus on getting to the money. Focus on the next thing in life. But the things that mattered the most, your family, your relationships with friends, building relationships with your nieces and nephews, those are the type of things that we put on the back burner.
But they're the most important.
It's the most important, but we know. But during that time, we knew that. Well, it's because I'm just so busy. It's because of my work hours, and you know that's just great. That's just the grace about it. That's how life is.
Yeah.
But it was just ultimately just like it got to the point that now in our lives we have making up for all that. I noticed that over the years, I can say like, okay, we actually have improved in those areas. We've gotten better in those areas, and it was like slowly in every single thing, in humility, in growth, in us working on our marriage and working on ourselves outside of the household. We literally had to die to ourselves every single period of it. It was like we had a plan and we thought we knew. Next thing you know, I don't know nothing. So now I'm in the point of I got to humble myself and
be disciplined.
It's like getting a spiritual butt whipping sometimes.
Yeah, but I will say that. My goal for being disciplined is to go to the gym at least 2 times a week.
Yeah.
Because I absolutely refuse to go, but I know I need to go. I should go, and I will go. Excuse me. So, yeah, that's my first step in really working on discipline and kind of trying to push out that fleeting self-pleasure.
Right. Because there's never a right time.
Steps. One thing, and then grow from there.
I think we always say, okay, we're going to do this in another season, thinking that we have time.
Exactly. We need to do it now.
Yeah, I got to do it now.
What are you going to be disciplined in? I said working out. What about you?
Well, if you're working out, as your husband, I have to be with you because we walk together. So, you know, I'm encouraging you as well. But not just in that aspect, in the aspect of in my spiritual growth, being disciplined in that, you know.
Getting up and setting that time for do your devotional.
Yeah, you know, because we make time for a lot of things, but if you really go and take some time right now, even our viewers, go on your phone and look in your system to see your usage. It will show you what apps you spend all your time on.
Yeah.
You know, so you can give all that time to an app. You can go on the YouVersion app and get a quick word in.
You're absolutely right. Even what you were saying before about putting the most important things on the background, like family, friends. And even spiritually, like we'll put our time with God on the back burner too, just to kind of, well, I have to go to work. Well, I have to do this, and I feel like.
But then in different seasons, we're praying for
discipline.
We're praying and wishing for big blessings.
Yes.
But it's like you haven't put the time in. You know, you got to put the time in.
Yeah, gotta be disciplined.
Right. So even with that, to answer that question, even the way we're not just getting physical help, but even the way we eat. We've been doing very good with that. I have to say, a highlight of our year, we have not been to McDonald's at all.
We've never really eaten McDonald's.
We never really
like
did, but I'm saying like even on like road trips, like how you stop off and you grab fries or you grab nuggets, we have not done any of that.
I would probably say more like 2 years. We just don't really eat at McDonald's.
Right,
so much.
but I mean that
I get what you're saying.
Okay, but that's different because you just told us your childhood. My childhood was totally different from you.
Oh, there's probably times when you're probably grabbing lunch.
So
and
I grew up. I remember even in high school playing basketball. Before practice, I had my mom drop off cheeseburgers from McDonald's. But you know, I paid for it when
I
I was
honestly
suicides.
was very hesitant to eat McDonald's after doing that experiment in high school
Where it
in
don't
my anatomy and
decompose.
physiology class. So I just,
Yeah.
I'd be really, really hungry. It has to be the really healthy
But
option.
What I'm trying to say is just the little things
It's discipline, but it's
can,
also finding the reason to have that discipline.
right. But it's like, you know, a lot of times even with being disciplined, people feel like they got to set this big drastic change, or I'm gonna stop doing this. It's like you got to give yourself grace. You know.
Yeah.
One thing I like to see, it's crazy because my grandmother used to smoke cigarettes, and I remember when she tried to stop smoking cigarettes. She went through her stage of wearing the patch. She went through her stage of eating chewing gum, and then she ended up liking sunflower seeds. It was just like, but I saw what she was trying to do, and over time she stopped. You know, but it was just the fact that she made it in her mind. She had the will to say, okay, I'm putting my mind to this.
I'll be disciplined in this.
Right. And what being disciplined is not making excuses for yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
It's so easy to be like, woe is me.
I agree.
And this is what I got going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds about right to me.
It's so crazy because a lot of times as we sit here, guys, we be giving it to you like live. Like God be working in us, so we feel like if I'm dealing with it, you got to be dealing with it. We all struggling with it. But and that's
like we could all use a little extra discipline.
yeah, it's in all areas of life.
Yeah.
You know, all areas of life. Even on your job, you got. But you know what's so crazy? I think instead of complaining about things, just start being that change. You know, it's just even if you see, like your parents say, if you see paper on the floor, and I know you didn't drop the paper,
Pick it up.
pick it up.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it don't take somebody else telling you to do it. You just do it. You start setting that trend to the next thing you know, because you never know who's watching you. That next person that see you do it, they're gonna be like, "Oh snap, I'm about to start doing it." You know.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you done set something up.
Hope you remember that the next time you see something lay on the floor.
Hey. Hey, God, and I pray that I pray that the Holy Spirit provokes me to do it.
And if not, I will surely provoke you.
Hey, get with 2 kicks in the butt. I feel you. Hey, but how you feeling? You good on that? You good on everything? Good on everything we spoke about today?
I can't wait for our next topic next week.
Yeah, me too. But guys, we love you guys. But until next time, remember to walk in faith, never lose hope, live in love. It's just perspective.